Welcome to this week's episode of the Compliance Digest, presenting topics on all things compliance related. My name is Alex Krenke, and joining me this week is Whitney Hagstrom, the Senior Sales Associate at Quest CE. Whitney, welcome.
Thanks, Alex.
This week we'll be talking about some insider trading issues that recently occurred at an audit firm and its impact on the two firms that they were helping out. So, Whitney, if you could please provide us with some backgrounds on the story itself and then what the man who's responsible for this, Scott London, is being accused of.
Sure. Scott London, a partner in charge of KPMG Los Angeles audit business, is being charged with insider trading after he provided confidential information regarding 5 of KPMG clients to a friend and golf partner, Brian Shaw. Shaw's family-run business was struggling with the economic downturn, and in return for London's information, Shaw paid him off in cash, jewelry, and entertainment, all nearly $55,000 worth. And this started all the way from June 2010 to May of 2013, March of 2013.
So this has been going on for quite a while, and it's no surprise that Mr. London was caught, and that's why we're talking about it today. What's been the fallout for these two firms?
The two firms, Skechers and Herbalife, have not been accused of any wrongdoing. However, they must work to lessen the consequences from the scandal. Not only was KPMG obligated to resign as the independent auditor for both Skechers and Herbalife, but they also were faced with nullification of a total of 5 years' worth of audit opinions.
So KPMG is one of the big four. What's been happening with the remaining companies that are considered in that big four?
Well, as you see, there's only 4 major firms. So when Herbalife and Skechers look to replace their auditor, there's not a lot of choices. Carol Stacy, who is the VP at training firm SEC Institute, said, most companies try to keep an audit firm aside and not work with them at all. So if something like this does happen, they have one to fall onto. Hopefully, Skechers and Herbalife have that. If they don't, they're looking at more of a second-tier firm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a big enough issue where that's really not something they're going to look to want to implement. I think the other thing that most people are curious about is what has been KPMG's reaction to this whole scandal.
Well, KPMG did fire Scott London when it learned of the unfolding of the investigation. KPMG's chairman and CEO released a statement mentioning he was, of course, appalled to learn of the details about London's breach of fiduciary duties to their clients, and as a result, it's clear their independence has been impaired with respect to the two companies for which Scott London served as lead partner.
I think another thing to consider, which isn't always the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about an insider trading case, is what's going to happen to the audits that occurred during this period where the insider trading was happening. What's going to happen with the backlog of these tainted audits?
Well, the process includes submitting to new audits for those withdrawn by KPMG. The SEC is expected to give companies some grace to get caught up on their audits under the circumstances.
And has it been announced yet who is going to handle the backlog audits?
Well, as mentioned before, there aren't many to choose from. But once each company does select their new auditors, the work of actually recreating the years of audit reports will go underway fairly quickly.
And then, just to kind of close the loop on KPMG and their involvement, do we expect that they'll be a part of this backlog audit moving forward?
It's likely KPMG will be still involved in some way to help the companies transition to new auditors. However, a statement from Confirmation.com's Brian Fox, who was a former Big Four auditor himself, believes the new firm will probably place little faith in anything produced by KPMG.
Well, I really appreciate the insight, Whitney. It's important to see all sides of what's going to happen in regards to the fallout from the insider trading. And I think that's really one of the points we want to bring up today is that some of the unintended consequences that occur as a result of insider trading. It's not always the fines and the potential prison time associated with it to the individuals involved. Sometimes there's consequences like the audits that occurred from the firm during the insider trading that are going to have to be opened back up and investigated again, and we'll have to have new records put in there because you can't necessarily trust what was recorded while insider trading was occurring. So that'll cover it for this week's topic on insider trading. I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank you, Whitney, for joining us this week.
Thanks, Alex.
We'll see you again next week for another exciting episode of the Compliance Digest.